Hello everyone, Josh Ryuk here. Remember my Resident Evil tier list that I did a few months ago? Since very soon I will premiere a Metroid video, I thought that maybe it would be kind of fun to do a Metroid tier list, just like the Resident Evil tier list I did some time ago. Why don't we rate all the games? Metroid is a series that is dear and near to my heart. I played almost all of the games in the series, and those that I did not, I watched the full playthroughs of. The first game that I played was Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance, and I got instantly hooked. This made me seek out the other games, and then I played Metroid Prime on the GameCube. That game blew my mind. Holy shit, it's so good. Never before I had seen a first-person game focused on exploration instead of mindless shooting. The game absolutely impressed me, and I proceeded to play all the games in the franchise over time after that. This is why today I will rank up every game in the series, starting from the first game and working my way down to the newest games. So let's get started. It's time to kick some space pirate ass. Metroid for the Nintendo system. Unfortunately, this is a very weak start. Unlike other NES games like Castlevania, Mega Man and Super Mario Bros., I think this one has not aged well at all. This game was pretty much revolutionary back when it came out, because it was one of the first games that allowed you to explore a huge map, find upgrades and backtrack. Most games back then were mostly comprised of linear levels, so having a game with a huge map to explore, backtracking and upgrades to find was quite novel. However, this ambition cannot carry the game alone. The game suffers from quite a few issues that make it a pain in the ass to play. First of all, no in-game map, and because of the limited graphics, most rooms in the game look exactly the same. This means that getting lost in this game is very easy, and most of your playtime will be spent wandering around aimlessly, trying to figure out what the heck you are supposed to do. The second major issue is that the controls are very clunky. You cannot crouch, and also you cannot shoot in 80 directions. So this means that hitting enemies that are below you and on top of you is sometimes terribly annoying. And the game is also pretty difficult, so you are bound to die a lot. This brings me to the third issue. If you die, you respawn with almost no health left and have to grind to recover your health. This design decision is so stupid and breaks the entire game, because you will spend a lot of time doing boring grinding just to recover from your death, and this makes the game very unfun to play. For these reasons, in good faith, I cannot put this game higher than a D rank. Without using a map from the internet, you will get lost so many times, wandering areas that all look the same. And you also need to pay attention and not die, because if you die, have fun grinding for 5 minutes to recover all your health and missiles. This game is just unfun to play, unfortunately. I only suggest playing this once to see where the series roots originated, but seriously, do yourself a favor and play the remake of this game. Metroid 2: Return of Samus for the Game Boy. This game suffers from a lot of the same issues from the original game, including a lack of map. However, they did improve a few things. First of all, the game is much more linear compared to the first, so the lack of a map is not that much of a bother this time around. The areas still look very generic and samey, but it is harder to get lost here since the game is more linear. Second, you can crouch and shoot now, so small enemies are no longer a problem. Third, they did add a few recharge stations, so you don't need to grind health and missiles as much, even if the recharge stations are very few and far between. I'd still not call this game great though. The soundtrack is very generic and much worse than the first game, and the game suffers a lot from screen crunch, so you can barely tell where you're going most of the time. Also, the goal of killing Metroids to access new areas does get repetitive after a while. This is a C rank for me, a decent improvement, but still not one I would go back to. Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo. This is it. The big one. The one where the series becomes good. And damn, this game is good. I dare say it's a masterpiece. They fixed all the issues here. First of all, not only now all the areas of the game are very distinct and memorable, but you also have an in-game map now. This means you won't get lost anymore. No more wandering aimlessly. Second, you can now shoot in 8 directions, so you have full control of your character, and it finally feels good to play. No more cheap shots from enemies that you can't reach. Third, you don't respawn with no health if you die, and the game is full of save and recharge stations, so if you die, you don't want to bash your head against a wall. Aside from fixing these previous issues, the game also does many things right. Some things that have never been replicated in the other games in the series. For example, this is one of the few games in the series that is truly open. You have access to wall jumping, bomb jumping, and all other techniques right from the start. So if you are skilled, you can pretty much get all upgrades in any order you want. This is why this game is so fun to replay and speedrun. You can basically complete the game in any order you want, even defeat the bosses in reverse order. The developers built the game with sequence breaking in mind, so you don't even need to abuse glitches to get upgrades earlier. This is also, to this day, the only game in the series that allows you to turn off upgrades, which is pretty cool. I used to experiment with the various beam combinations for fun, and it is pretty cool to be able to turn off the Varia suite and Gravity suites for extra challenge. The graphics and the soundtrack are also fucking great, and the game oozes atmosphere. You really do feel like you are stranded in a desolate planet. This is the game that made the series become popular. It fixed all the issues of the previous games, and it's also one of the most replayable and open games in the series. For this reason, in my opinion, this game deserves an S rank. What a beautiful masterpiece. Metroid Fusion for the Game Boy Advance. This is the first game I played in the series. It got me hooked, but this one is very different compared to the rest of the series. To start, this game is extremely linear. You will have a companion that will tell you what to do for most of the game, and the game will also usually not allow you to stray from the intended path. However, I feel that these things do not hurt this game at all. Because of this game being linear, the developers were able to handcraft their vision, a pseudo-horror game. This is probably the scariest game in the series. You are literally stuck in a space station full of monsters that want to tear you apart, and you do not have your old power suit. You are stuck using a very weak suit, the fusion suit, for the entire game, so every enemy deals a lot of damage. This makes the game, coupled with the very creepy soundtrack, very challenging and scary. And then we have the SIX, the Mr. X of this game, a stalker enemy that will haunt you throughout the game. It will kill you very quickly if it sees you. It even has footstep sounds when it moves, just like Mr. X. Every time this motherfucker appeared, it made me shit my pants. Damn, what a cool concept for an enemy. I really like this game. It has got a great mysterious story, a creepy horror atmosphere, and it is pretty challenging too. This is why I don't mind that this game is linear, and why this game deserves an A rank. Metroid Prime for the GameCube. This is my second game in the franchise. It blew my mind. When this game was being developed, people saw the first-person perspective and feared that this would turn Metroid into another mindless first-person shooter. But Retro Studios did the impossible. They translated the Metroid formula perfectly in first person, creating an amazing adventure. This game is amazing. It has an incredible immersive atmosphere, a great story, story and tons of lore thanks to the great scan visor system, and the soundtrack, like all the Metroid games, is a fucking banger. This game also contains a lot of music remixed from Super Metroid, which is very much appreciated. I do have some small gripes with this game though. First of all, the backtracking can get a bit annoying due to how the map is built. Second, the game is too easy. After your first playthrough, every enemy and boss just rolls over. Some bosses especially are absolute pushovers. After you realize their gimmick, the fight is just busy work. Looking at you, Tardus, so replaying this game is not much fun for me, since I'm pretty much never challenged. I still love this game though, and it's an easy S tier game, but the next game I will rate is better. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes on the GameCube. The placement of this game will make your eyes roll, but hear me out, guys. Most people really don't like this game, but for me, this game is an easy S rank, and probably my favorite game in the entire Metroid franchise. First, I love how dark and grim the atmosphere in this game is. Just like Metroid Fusion, this game sometimes feels like an horror game. People rant that this game has really depressing areas and muted colors, but I love it for this very reason. Second reason, this game fixed my biggest gripe with the first Prime game. The game is challenging, very much so. Even if you know what you're doing, you need to be skilled and pay attention, or you will get your ass kicked. Some of the bosses in this game are extremely difficult, but they don't feel unfair for me. I even love the Boost and Spider Guardians, but people hate on this game for how challenging it is, and because they have ammo, so they can't just steamroll everything with the strongest beam. Third reason, the map is better designed compared to Prime 1. Since the map is basically a circle and every area has shortcuts and elevators, you almost never need to backtrack for no reason. The item progression is also better in this game. You don't have situations like in Prime 1 where the next upgrade is on the other side of the world for no reason. The Dark World is also a brilliant addition, harkening back to the days of Zelda: A Link to the Past, and means you have to pay attention when exploring to find the correct way to progress. And lastly, the suites on this game are fucking amazing. They look gorgeous, holy shit. The Varia suite looks better compared to Prime 1. The Dark suite looks incredible, probably my favorite suite in the franchise. And the Light suite is very unique looking and also makes you feel like a badass. And it is a nice reward for braving the entirety of the Dark World. This game for me is better than Prime 1 in every way. The reasons why everyone hates this game are the reasons why I love it. This game slaps. Now give me a remaster of this game too. Metroid Prime Hunters, Nintendo DS. I did not play this game, so I won't give it a rating, unfortunately. Metroid Prime 3 Corruption on the Nintendo Wii. I'll be honest here, I really can't put this game any higher than a B rank. Don't get me wrong, this game is very good, but it has some flaws that I find really annoying. First of all, the damn Aurora unit is very annoying. Just shut up and let me play the game. I don't want to hear you talk for 3 hours. At least the computer in Metroid Fusion did not have voice acting, so I could just skip the entire text and resume playing. But here, even if you turn the hints off, you are forced to listen to this boring, monotone fucker drone and god damn it, just let me play the game and figure shit out for myself. Second of all, the motion controls gimmicks are just boring and really do not do anything for me. Oh yes, let me pull this lever for the 20th time. This is so immersive. Oh my god, just let me play the fucking game. Third, the game is very linear and feels hollow. Since they removed the option to change beams, every fight feels the same and requires no strategy. It's just a choice of, do I use hyper mode and kill the enemy in 2 seconds, or do I not use hyper mode and have to spam the shoot button for 3 minutes before it dies? Dang, I sound really negative, but these are the reasons why it's only a B rank game, because I like everything else the game does. The graphics and the world are beautiful, especially the pirate homeworld. It has to be one of the coolest areas in a Metroid game ever. Seeing Samus work alongside other hunters is also very cool. The Norion mission tutorial is pretty nice too. The soundtrack is pretty good and I love how the PD suite looks. The game overall is great and a worthy finale to the trilogy, but I just dislike some design decisions here. Metroid Prime Pinball for the Nintendo DS. I did not play this, I'm sorry, I can't rank this. Metroid Other M, Nintendo Wii. This is a weird one. When I first played it, I thought this game was pretty good. The more I replayed it, the more it went down for me. Now, I just don't think there is anything redeemable here. First of all, the story is really stupid. Not just because the voice acting is pretty bad, also because in this game a lot of things make zero sense. Why does Samus need authorization to use the Varia suite? It is not a dangerous upgrade, so it cannot be used to harm survivors. Why is Adam such a dick, and why does he not allow her to turn it on immediately? Why is Samus scared of Ridley? This would only make sense if this was the first game of the series, but at this point in the timeline, she has fought Ridley so many times that it makes no sense. Why does Samus not authorize the grapple beam immediately? It's not dangerous. Okay, you get the point. Basically what I am saying is that the authorization mechanic makes zero sense, so I would rather have Samus lose her powers in the old-fashioned way and have to find them again. The plot is not even original, because it's just a lazy retread of Metroid Fusion. It's literally the same story except done 10 times worse. Second, the game is even more linear than Fusion. The game constantly locks you inside rooms for no reason, prevents you from backtracking and getting upgrades, and it's just annoying in general. The graphics also look very lame to me. Samus' suit just looks weird to me. It looks like a cheap toy, and even enemies recycled from Fusion look stupid. Poor Nightmare, you got fucking ruined. Fuck you guys. You ruined the gravity suit. Seriously, why? The gameplay is also insanely flawed. You cannot use the analog controls for no reason, so you are stuck using the D-pad. The dodge move is insanely busted, since it has no cooldown and it can be spammed, so it means you are basically immortal the entire game. Since enemies don't drop health, it means you can just recharge your energy with your willpower. What the fuck? This is so weird and also completely breaks the game. Honestly, let me stop right here. I could find things to bitch about this game for hours. This game is the black sheep. Before we get to Metroid Dread, let's tackle the remakes. Metroid: Samus Returns for the Nintendo 3DS. This is the remake of Metroid 2: Return of Samus. It's a good game and certainly better than the original in many ways. It also makes some questionable decisions. The parry attack is cool, but to compensate for its existence, they made every enemy a bullet sponge, so you are basically forced to spam the parry button to kill the leather enemies. You also can't move while parrying, so this makes the game very tedious to play, since you have to constantly stop. The game is also still very repetitive, just like the original. It's just about killing Metroids until you can progress to the next area. Unfortunately, if you did not like how the original game was structured, you won't like it here either. I also do not like how they added an extra final boss at the end. Having to fight Ridley and a bunch of other enemies at the end ruins the ending of the original game, and also makes Samus look kinda stupid in the intro of Super Metroid. Still, it is a better game than the original, all things considered, so I'd put it into B rank. Metroid: Zero Mission for the Game Boy Advance. This is the remake of the first Metroid game. It's honestly a huge upgrade from the original. Now you have a map. Every room looks much more unique and you can tell where you are. They also added a new area and the final boss in this game too. This new content is very fun and unique and does not ruin the story of the original game. It is very fun, honestly, since it's mostly a stealth mission. Very unique for a Metroid game. I put this game into B tier though, because it has two flaws that kinda break it for me. First, the game is insanely easy. It's basically a cakewalk from beginning to end. Second, the game has no atmosphere at all. One of my favorite things about Metroid is the moody, dark, and desolate atmosphere from each game. This game's bright color palette, noisy soundtrack, and lack of challenge pretty much destroy any immersion I could possibly have. Speaking of the soundtrack, I do not like it very much. It is good, but it gets very repetitive very quickly, a bit hard on the ears. It's genuinely painful to listen to after a while, probably because of how noisy it is. I don't know how to describe it. I still think this is an awesome game, but these two flaws prevent it from being a top tier game for me. It is a huge upgrade and it completely replaces the original. It could have been better in my opinion. Metroid Prime Federation Force, Nintendo 3DS. Never played it, and probably never will. What a weird game though. Metroid Dread, Nintendo Switch. This is a great game, and it has the best gameplay in the franchise so far. It took all the issues of Samus Returns and fixed them. The parry system returns, except much smoother and allowing you to move. Enemies are also less bullet spongy, so you are not forced to rely on the parry constantly. The game is not linear like Samus Returns, allowing plenty of sequence breaks and exploration. Even though the developer's intended path is very clearly laid out for you, you can still explore. The combat and the bosses are incredibly good and very challenging. This game does many things right. The only reason I do not put this game into S tier is because of some flaws. I am not a fan of the metallic industrial rooms in this game. They look very bland and generic. This is also the only game in the series with a very bland soundtrack, which is weird considering how good the other games' soundtracks are. I do not like how the enemy zones look different from the other areas. What's the point of a stalker enemy if you know where it is as soon as you enter a room? This is a downgrade from the SIX in my opinion. Just like Metroid Zero Mission, this game is a bit lacking in atmosphere, at least for me. It is a bit better in that regard, to be fair. Now, where is Prime 4? Hope you enjoyed this tier list, my friends. This video will hopefully be fun for you guys. Even though it's the first time I talked about the Metroid series on this channel, let me know in the comments your opinions or if you disagree or agree with me. I will see you guys next time. Goodbye, my friends.